all those who are joined for this session. So on today, first of all, on this Engineers Day, let me wish to everyone that Engineers Day. We are very fortunate that on this Engineers Day we have a distinguished speaker, Dr. V. Rama Sastry, who is going to address us on this Engineers Day, as well as he is going to share his views on what is the importance of technological university engineering education. What are the different new education policies that are being imparted by the DBATU, and what will be its impact imprints on everyone? So before we start with the session, let me give you a brief introduction about Dr. V. Rama Sastry. He doesn't need such an introduction, but as for this program, as we have joined many 12 pass students as well as their parents, students and faculties of the DBATU affiliated institutes, their principals. So first of all, I welcome one and all DBATU dignitaries and everyone, those who are part of this session. And let me give you the brief introduction about our today's speaker, Honorable VC V. Rama Sastry. So
Very
on
brief,
behalf
please.
of my college, my trust, I, Aparna Pandey, welcome you all for this today's session. So Dr. V. Rama Sastry, he has done his PhD and MTech from IIT Banaras Hindu University. He has done his BE in mining engineering. He is a fellow of Institution Engineers, life member of Indian Society for Rock Mechanics and Tunneling Technology. He is a member of International Society for Rock Mechanics. There are so many achievements to his credit, but I'll just list few. So he is a luminary in mining education in India award by CSIR, presented by Honorable Union Minister for S&T, Dr. Harshavardhan, in Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi, year 2017. He has been achieved many papers to his credits, Scopus, and so many more to mention. Apart from that, he is very much active in co-curricular as well as extracurricular activities. He's having 33 years of teaching experience and research and consultancy, that is a 20 years of experience. He is a vivid speaker, and we must say that, and we are very happy, sir, to have you here. And I request you to please start with. I request all the participants, please follow the protocol of this online meeting. And if you have any question, please chat it to just to me so that I'll take that question once sir will start with the interacting with the questions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm expected to speak for about 5-10 minutes, then take the questions. Yeah, what is the mandate for me, Miss Aparna ji?
Sir, first we'll start with your address, followed by the interaction that questions that are being given to me already by the main faculty.
Subsequent, you can pose questions, then open house for question from anyone.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Like
sir.
that. Okay, thank you very much. First of all, on this very, very auspicious day, which is of great significance to every engineer, on this day of Engineers Day, I extend the best wishes to each and every faculty of the entire DBOTU family. For me, DBOTU is the entire family of all the faculty, all the students spread over this across the state of Maharashtra. Friends, on this day, I would like to bring very vital role of each one of you, especially the faculty members, in the present day scenario of the nation. All of you are quite aware. Recently, the government of India announced the new National Education Policy 2020, Nai Rashtriya Shiksha Niti. And go through the document, you will find that the success of whatever vision provided by government of India entirely rests on the faculty members. Every faculty is quite significant in the system. And for me, personally, as Vice Chancellor, I strongly feel that faculty are the pivotal for making the new education policy successful, which is brought in exclusively for the development of every child in the country. And so is the case with faculty as well, for the development of the faculty and for the development of the children. We at Baba Saheb Technological University are quite aware. I said this is Engineers Day, we all know. Therefore, the responsibility lies on us much more compared to, I feel, other faculty belonging to other universities, traditional universities in the country or in the state of Maharashtra. Happen, it will have to be engineered or re-engineered by faculty and students. And once you re-engineer or engineer the process, you will come out with a new solution which gets converted into technology. And the technology should ultimately reach out to the society. Our society is industry, our sector, our society is power sector, our society is administration, so many stakeholders we have. Wherever, whichever sector you touch in the society, it belongs to us. In many cases, maybe indirectly, we have to contribute. We are basically meant for engineering the processes, come out with appropriate technology to be to students so that they put it to use once they go to the society after leaving the portals of the institutions or the university. Our endeavor must be to prepare the students who are quite industry friendly, who are quite industry usable, who are full of ideas, and who are ready to take challenges which are unforeseen and which are not taught. You cannot teach everything in the college, that is for sure. But we have to prepare them to learn and face the challenges, to take up whatever new things are, new mandates are there from the society, which of course is represented by either state government or central governmental organizations. So I feel on this very, very auspicious day, try to be a faculty bit different from other faculties and try to innovate, try to utilize your time for upgrading your knowledge. Today is the knowledge world. Whosoever is having knowledge, more knowledge, is going to be the leader, undoubtedly. So without upgradation of knowledge, there is no what is the existence. And if you see the present day generation, I am quite happy to say here that the present day youth, the students you are getting into the institutions are much, much higher as far as IQ is concerned. If you compare your student days, if I compare my student days, if we go back to 20, 30, 15, 30 years, 35 years back, if we compare ourselves with the present generation, the present generation is quite fast, more vibrant, more dynamic, and more electronic gadget savvy. They can get any information with the chutki way, they get all the information, whichever is required. So it is our duty to put this youth, energy of the youth in proper direction, give them what is a effective tools, and then good for stuff. Some work we need to give so that they will be engaged in academic as well as co-curricular activities more, and ultimately come out to become a good of the country, good human being, and then a good technocrat. It is our duty, a duty of every one of us. As far I consider myself first as a faculty and then as an administrator. So it is our duty to see the welfare of the students, and there is to change our style of functioning in the classroom and our style of functioning beyond the classroom as well. in the form of making ourselves available. We need to change our style of teaching. We need to give more inputs. We need to make use of what is happening in the world and bring it to the class directly. And so many new concepts are coming out in technical education, especially. And I appeal to each faculty member of DEVA2 to please spare some of your valuable time to know what is happening around the world. Your institute is not the world. Your university is not the world. Your state is not the world. Your country is not the world. Today, whole world is yours, is your world. So we need to know what is happening in the teaching methodologies, especially in technical education, in MIT, or Monash University, MIT US, or Monash University Australia, or a Stanford University, or a University of Texas. What sort of methodologies are followed by those people to make the students learn? There is huge difference in the teaching learning process. We are experts in teaching, but I don't know how far we have been successful in making the students understand the objectives of the subject, come out with solutions which are of pragmatic nature to be made useful to the student when he or she steps out of the institute and joins a company. It's a fact in India, of the engineering graduates we are sending out from thousands of institutions a year, roughly about 8.25 lakhs or so as of today, engineering graduates. Of that, hardly 15 to 20% are really acceptable to the industry. The rest are classified as not fit for jobs. I think that is a big lesson we have to look back and learn. And I feel there is a great role for the faculty to really mold the student to be suitable to the present day order of the world. And friends, the corona, that is COVID-19, has changed our lifestyles, and it's going to change the total lifestyle in the country. The spectrum of all sectors in the country are going to change, and it's not going to be the same life in future. A lot of things are going to change. Less number, more online things, and many more other innovative things are going to happen. So it becomes all the more competitive to get a job, to survive in a given job also. We are seeing lakhs of students are being, not students, lakhs of engineers are being offloaded in last 4 to 5 months of time due to COVID-19 situation. And it's going to be ultimately more competent is going to survive in the society, in the country. And lot many programs are taking place. And it is time for us, each one of us, to the present situation, to foresee the challenges in next 1 2 years to come, and then which are going to sustain total. It's going to be totally changed system we are going to face in the country. So we need to prepare our students well and make them good engineers, useful to the society. With these few words, I again express my happiness, and I congratulate Professor Aparna and all her team and the Institute of Newton College of Engineering for having taken up this initiative to arrange the interaction session with you all. And I wish each one of you the very best on this Engineers Day. And I look forward to see a very, very vibrant and more socially conscious Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Technological University in the state of Maharashtra, and to play a major role not only in the state but in the entire nation. Thank you very much, Aparnaji. Now I am open for questions.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And as if in every meeting we come to know, or you give us such a map that it gives us the inspiration to move ahead. Even on this Engineers Day, due to this whatever COVID-19 or any pandemic situation, as you have mentioned, it's really necessary, and we definitely work on this. That as you have mentioned, that we should expand our horizon and continue our teaching learning process, being a faculty also. So we'll definitely take a note of this, sir. So let me, as many questions have already been given to me by the many faculties. So let me start with one by one. I'll ask you a few questions, and even if you say, then because that unmute and there may be network issues there, so that's why only I'm collecting the question and I'll be asking you, sir. Will it be okay?
I'm getting your voice, broken voice.
Uh, I'm saying that, sir, due to this online meeting, if I ask
Yeah,
everyone to unmute and ask, it may create chaos in the meeting.
correct,
So that's
correct.
why I am asking everyone to send me the question and I'll be asking you the question on their behalf.
Right, that is good.
Yeah, fine, sir. So the first question is from my own institute, sir, and my many students from Nutan College of Engineering and Research wants to know and say those who are coming for the 12th pass students, those who want to take admission, they generally ask us, what is a technological university and how it is different from other universities?
Yeah, that's a very good question. To begin with, I think I find this question to be very apt to be asked by students who are going to enter their undergraduate or graduate programs in the society in general. The basic difference I find between normal traditional universities and a technological university, it is something like this. It is expected. How far it has really become true, I don't know. Uh, Faculty will have to tell, and students, of course, ex-students will have to tell. There are huge gaps, of course, but in general, the technological university is supposed to have courses which are oriented. Point number one. Point number two, the courses, the ecosystem in technical university or technical institutions should be of more innovative in nature, providing more opportunities for the students to innovate. Then there should be more practical oriented teaching, learning process to flourish. And above all, methodologies should be research based. In a nutshell, the teaching has to be more practical oriented, more industry problem oriented with innovation, and then I feel there should be good amount of research going on which is applied for teaching in the classroom, and it should be more practically oriented. That's why we say nowadays you have to adopt the new slogan, bring the lab to the classroom, so that there is good amalgamation of a certain level of teaching, immediately putting it into a practical sort of thing, so that a student learns application of it immediately. So it is more of applied nature. We are learning in science, you learn the subject. In engineering, application of that has to be adopted and come out with an appropriate technology. Engineering is it is devising a procedure. You engineer a procedure, you re-engineer a procedure. Result is technology. Technology is useful to the society. That is the big difference between in normal traditional universities. The second component, data component, is very much minimal. Whereas we have a more liaising with the industry orientation. I think that gives the answer.
Now the second question that is being asked is the role or the importance of technological university in engineering education.
Role of, please repeat.
Role of a technological university in engineering education.
Okay. I think in my
You have answered in your first question.
first
I
question
agree.
given,
Yeah.
I feel the question could be, it is something like this. What is the difference between a technical institution and a technical university, maybe? Or
Okay.
Yeah, it is a technical university, technical education. I have defined that is, and it is something. I that's what I might say. It, role of technological university is to give direction to a group of institutions like yours. We may be having some 100 or 150, 200 institutions. There is a systematicness in, there is a difference between a technical institution and a technical university. The university is expected to adopt the best technical or engineering practices as far as education is concerned, available in the society. My society is the entire world, and then put them into a properly structured manner and see that these things are implemented properly by everyone. So more is university is more involved with administering the things, and institution is involved in implementing the things. Policy matters, university will have to do. How the policy has to be prepared. The best teachers are to be taken in proper whatever bodies are there, and then let there be a thorough analysis of what is existing in best of the best institutions in the country and around the world. Adopt those things and try to create ambience in the university departments or maybe institutions. Try to at least facilitate the process of establishing good practices in the institutions as far as engineering and technology is concerned, and ultimately the benefits of which are passed on. And that's why I go one step ahead in saying that there should be a good level of recognizing the talents of individual institutions. You have 100 institutions, you have 200 institutions affiliated to a particular university. 100 are not equal. At least give them relative grading so that those who are adopting better practices as far as technical education is concerned, they get better recognition. They are pushed to take decisions as far as implementation of academic programs on their own. Something like academic autonomy is provided through autonomous, granting autonomous status to the institution. So these are all the jobs to be done by the university, and institutions are at the next level for implementation of these things. And it is more or less extension of the first question, I feel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, Dr. Desai would like to request you, sir, please explore on the what are the different DBATU initiatives.
Friends, as far as technical education is concerned, the DBATU has become quite sensitive to the requirements, to the needs of the society and the mandates of the government, whether it is government of Maharashtra or government of India, the statutory bodies. The recently announced national education policy talks about liberal education, innovation in education, providing equal opportunities, equity, that is, call it as, and then without any gender basis. Next, very, very important is research, promotion of research culture in the university. University is represented by the departments and the institutions. And I feel extremely happy to bring to the notice of everyone here. We at DBATU have taken initiatives in all these sectors since last 1 year. And I feel proud to say that as far as liberal education is concerned, lateral education is concerned, DBATU, I feel, is the first university in the country to have taken up the initiative of minor introduction of the minor subjects, which maybe I don't know if any separate question is there. I'll be discussing it
Yes,
at a later stage. I'll stop here.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you
Okay,
want.
sir.
Otherwise, I'll explain right now.
No, there is a
Aparna,
question on that. Yeah.
on that
Question on
also.
that
Then I'll come to that later. Then
Yes, sir.
which is going to provide very good opportunities to pursue some other discipline also simultaneously. So that is one. Next one is we have given lesser academic, we have reduced the academic budget, I would call it as undoubtedly. The number of courses to be pursued by a student, I think DBOT is the only one university in the state of Maharashtra which has reduced the number of credits to 160. No other university in the state has done that. With the aim of giving more opportunities to the students to do some innovative work related to projects, minor projects, seminars, publishing of papers at BTech level itself. So what we have done is we have reduced the number of credits to 160, and we introduced a minor project mandatory. It is from third semester onwards up to seventh semester. Eighth semester you have major project, that is different. Next is we have made the eighth semester, seventh semester totally dedicated to internship, which is really going to change the game entirely. It gives tremendous opportunities to the students to liaison with the industry. As I said, industry for me is not just industries like Tata Steel or Mahindra or somebody. It may be a government PW department. It may be state electricity board. It may be agriculture department. It may be education department. It may be your own administration of your own institution. You please take up a project to study any one problem related to these sectors. It may be health department. There are many things to be done by students, faculty. So through this, you reach out to whichever sector you feel in the society. That is provided in your syllabus. And then very, very important one is I would like to see that every student is a confident student by the time she or he comes out of the university. Therefore, from the first day one, when they enter the university is represented by all the institutions and university departments. Every student will have to give, we have made it mandatory from this academic year of 2020-21. First semester, they have to give one seminar. Second semester, every student will have to give one more seminar. Compulsory it is. That seminar need not be technical. That seminar can be on, say, some a very good tourist spot in Satara, or it may be Ellora Caves. It may be on Paithani saris of Aurangabad region, or it may be some great structures or historical places, or it may be some pottery, it may be on some artisan, it may be on some music, dance, sitar, anything, whichever a student likes, they can give a seminar. Objective is to remove the element of stage fear from the minds of the students. From first semester, please understand, so that by the time they come to second year, I expect every student of DBA to become from this level, they just stand like this with confidence. And at that time, by the time of coming out of the portals of the institute or university, they really become self-reliant and self-resilient, truly following the sense of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So you become, each one of the student I expect to become Atmanirbharta Badana hai, they become a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat mission of the nation. So DBA has taken up several such programs through the course structure itself. And we are also going to be the one of 5 universities in the country to introduce a course on human values and ethics with 3 credit. We thought of implementing from this semester, but because of COVID condition, it is postponed to next semester. We are going to give this course mandatorily to all the students at fourth semester level, third and fourth semester level, so that the expectation from DBA is we produce not only just good technocrats, but good human beings. That is very, very important to the nation. So our aim is to produce good engineers, good technocrats. Technocrat is an engineer coupled with good management skills, administers the industries, technocrat, but above all, good human beings. I think our mission of introducing this mandatory course is going to help the students to a large extent. So these are some of the initiatives, and good emphasis we are giving on research programs as well, wherein PG students, I expect the faculty to make them a part of these research programs.
Now the next
Yes.
question that is been asked is, what are the engineering centric schemes in Dibatu? He's asking, he
Ah,
wants to ask you, what are the different engineering centric schemes in Dibatu?
okay. I think these are there are many schemes available. Actually, engineering center schemes. If you talk about, there are many schemes available given by Ministry of Education, All India Council for Technical Education, like Prerna scheme is there. You have Sakshta scheme is there, and there are schemes, especially Samriddhi scheme, exclusively for girl child. But many of the students do not know about this. These are all available. If all the students are able to make use of this, it's going to change the game plan altogether. That is number one. These are all existing. I think we need to give good propaganda to all the students about utilizing these schemes. There are almost half a dozen schemes are there, exclusively meant for girl children, exclusively meant for meritorious students, exclusively meant for upgradation of students coming from SC/ST category. Exclusive schemes are there for handicapped, that is differently abled children of the society in technical education. So there are many schemes available. I don't think we are really using all those things to the fullest extent. First endeavor should be to make use of those things. Beyond that, university has come out with a specific scheme. Again, I would say to promote creativity and innovation in the minds of young children of ours, that is our young students. If students are coming out with a good innovative idea, the university is going to support the idea up to 1 lakh of rupees a year. At I am telling you again, BTech project level, BTech project level. In addition to this, recently our university, again I would say the first university in the state of Maharashtra, probably it could be the first technical university in the entire nation. I take pride in saying so, that DBOT, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, has started Atmanirbhar Bharat Cell on the most auspicious day of the nation, that is Independence Day, on August 15th, last month. Today is 15 September. We are celebrating Engineers Day. And on August 15th, that is 1 month back, evening at 4 o'clock, we got this cell inaugurated by the Amrita Hast of our Honorable Governor, Sri Bhagat Singh Koshyari ji. And it was blessed by the presence of Honorable Sri Prakash ji Javadekar Sahab. And we are going to take up this particular mission in a big way in inviting creative ideas from the students of Divadu and support them through the innovation and incubation cell of the university. We have established a Section 8 company. It is a Pakka commercial company given by Government of India with a budget of about 5 crores of rupees. You can imagine the opportunities you have. So now we are streamlining the organization setup for this mechanism of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think by the weekend, this weekend, it is going to be announced, the total mechanism, and we are going to invite ideas from the students, which will be evaluated by an independent expert committee. And if the committee recommends, the student is going to get in stages up to a grant of 1 lakh. And we are also taking up measures to liaison with the industry and financial organizations to make them partners in pushing the creative ideas of the students further ahead in commercializing those ideas also. So there are ample opportunities. And then at this juncture, I would like to appeal to all my colleagues, if any one of you, if any faculty or student is having any idea, good idea, you may feel free to directly communicate it to the Vice Chancellor of DBATU at vc@dbatu.ac.in. Directly you may write to me, and I assure you all good suggestions will be taken up seriously by one committee constituted, and then we will see that these things are implemented for furthering the interests of the students. Thank you.
I hope that these things were probably not known or maybe not that much given attention by most of the affiliated colleges. So I think that through this program, everyone might have taken note of this and definitely will try to work on that, sir. And
I would,
really rare things, sir. VC sir is directly saying that please write to me and I'll consider that. It's really, that's very nice of you, sir.
and one more, just before
Next
I
question,
move forward, I
that
would
is,
like to tell
as you have
Aparna ji.
said that one.
Yeah, Aparna ji, there is one more thing. I have already given this information to all the faculty, exclusively for the faculty. If any faculty is going to come out with patenting sort of thing, I promise you, I assure that all the expenses related for patenting process will be borne by the university. I would like to see the patenting process also flourishes in the university, whether they need not be direct employee of university department. If the faculty of university from any corner of the state, I am going to support, the university is going to support them financially for the entire patenting process. That also is another initiative we have taken up. Please.
Yeah. So next question that has been asked by one of our student as well as one of our student, that is Ritika Dasal, and one of participant, I think from BIT College. That is, what is the major minor scheme and what is it?
Yeah, my dear young friend and all young friends, I think all the faculty members sitting here are young friends, younger to me. So all are young friends to me. And all the parents also, it's a very, very important point to be noted. सभी को जानकारी होना बहुत जरूरी है इस समय में। हर एक बच्चों के मन में एक अपेक्षा होता है कि हम कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर बने और आईटी का इंजीनियर बने। नॉर्मली given an opportunity, everybody wants to pursue computer engineering, everybody wants to become an electronics engineer to a large extent. Maybe some people really they want to go for mechanical, computer, mining, IT, something like that. But even if they take up the course of civil engineering or mechanical engineering or electronics engineering or computer, any engineering, if you have some interest in other branch of engineering, suppose you are a student of BE BTech mechanical engineering, you have a lot of passion for computer engineering, but due to some reason you got, because of your rank, you got into mechanical engineering. But that's not the end of the day, I assure you. But you can pursue 5 subjects in computer engineering and get 20 additional credits. That is 160 credits you have to get from your mechanical engineering stream. And if you accrue 20 more credits from computer engineering courses successfully, you will get a degree of BTech in mechanical engineering with minor in computer engineering. Similarly, a BTech in computer engineering student, normally what is the duty of a computer engineer? Computer engineering fits into every other domain. Their job is to develop a software for a mechanical industry or electronics industry or an electrical industry or a mining industry or a civil industry or a commercial establishment or a financial organization. So if you have ruchi in mechanical engineering, a computer guy, he or she wants to devise something or get into mechanical field with the knowledge of computers, you can pursue 5 courses in mechanical engineering, get 20 credits additional, you will get a degree of BTech in mechanical engineering with minor in, say BTech in computer engineering with minor in mechanical engineering, like this. So this is going to change the real, the complexion of technical education. It is going to provide opportunities to the student to pursue a course which is of her interest or his interest, which was not there earlier. Point number 1. Point number 2, it is going to put these students who are taking minor subjects in other disciplines definitely one step above the other students when you face the interviews for placements. When you go for higher studies in foreign universities especially, or maybe IITs in India, you are going to be preferred compared to a pure mechanical guy. And you have the opportunity to do MS in computer engineering, though you are a BTech in mechanical engineering, more easily abroad. And ultimately, leave all these things. You are putting some extra knowledge into your data bank here in the mind. The key of it can be opened at any appropriate time by you in future. God only knows when that moment is going to come. Acquisition of knowledge and the data acquisition into the mind is above everything. You are more knowledge simply compared to anybody else in your class. And that's why we are putting a rider that only those students who are having 7.5 CGPA and above are eligible for this. So this is going to make many more students study well and achieve something bigger also in their course of pursuing the BTech degree. So this is about minor. Major is in the same discipline. You study 5 advanced courses, you get honors degree. BTech in mechanical, honors. That means you have accrued additional knowledge in the field of mechanical engineering. Therefore, that also is going to help you from placement point of view, from higher studies point of view, and then becoming a bigger data bank of yourself. It is going to be really useful to every student. I'm very sure about it. And DBOT is the first technical university in India which has taken up this step. And then we are starting from this academic year, from the present third year itself, though we should have started it from first year. We are going to start it from third year by making appropriate changes in the system. So this is something about minor and major level.
Come to know that, yes, it will give the feel I'm engineer with certain choices also, if possible, like that.
Yeah.
So next question is from one of the affiliated institute, that is, what are the growth opportunities for faculties in affiliated institutes?
I personally, as Vice Chancellor, I see that there is no difference between the faculty of affiliated institutions or university departments or university faculty is faculty everywhere, anywhere. They are faculty. You are a professor in this college, you are a professor in university department of electrical engineering, or you in Nutan College of Engineering, or Sant Gadge Pava College of Engineering, Jalgaon. It doesn't matter. You are a professor, you are a faculty member. All are professors in general. And then the opportunities available to everyone are the same. I've seen many faculty members who are much more active in affiliated institutions compared to. It is just not the. I'm not talking about the case of DBOT. Please don't take it like that. In general, I've seen there are many faculty who are doing much better compared to university, the governmental institutions or universities. It is as far as opportunities are concerned, you have growth from assistant professor to professor, from professor to senior professor HAG, and anytime migration is possible from one place to the other. You can keep on going to greener pastures, I call it as. Everybody should move to greener pasture, and that is possible only and when you become more competent. What is the more competency or competency to a teacher? Everybody earlier, when I was a student, 40, 45 years back, or many of the faculty members when you were studying 20 years back, at that time the mandate of faculty was to teach and teach. That's the end of the day. Subsequently, it has changed. You have to teach, at the same time you have to learn. How you learn? You learn through research. So carry on research. You have to do you have to do teaching, you have to do research, so that you become a doctorate. And doctorate, getting a PhD degree should not be end of the day for the faculty member. That is the beginning of your career. And then after that, you can teach and do research. The mandate is serve the society. You have to become a part of the society. You cannot disassociate yourself from the society. That is, I got PhD, I have acquired so much knowledge. The knowledge I have acquired through my PhD should not die with me. That is the basic trait of a teacher, basic characteristic of a teacher. Whatever knowledge I got must be given to the society. The society to me is my PG students, my BTech students, UG students, and my research students, and beyond that, the industry. Whatever knowledge I have, liaison with the industry and carry on consultancy. Nowadays, India is just started opening up the opportunity. Unfortunately, we got this COVID situation and we got bogged down. It is going to be a temporary phenomenon. India is going to see phenomenal change in every sector, in financial sector. Everything is going to be digitized. So many things, opportunities are going to come. And please, we have to utilize our opportunities to extend the knowledge in the form of technical services to the organization. A faculty who does these three jobs of teaching effectively to the students, carrying out the research for upgradation of knowledge, and dissemination of knowledge, not only to students, but to the society. Our society is industry and other organizations. If a teacher is going to, faculty is going to accomplish these three, I don't see there is any bar for any person to reach higher levels. There was a myth, one of the earlier, that a person from faculty of affiliated institutions cannot become this or cannot become that. No, the present government has taken out, broken all such shackles. When a technocrat from industry is directly taken to central government departments as joint secretary, which is held by only IAS people, only a IAS guy, a IAS girl can become joint secretary in central government in any department. Now, no, you have so many engineers migrating from industry. More than hundreds of joint secretaries have been appointed recently, in the last couple of years by government of India. Means if you have talent, you can have cross migration. That's why I said I used a word of greener pastures. India is opening up opportunities. Who knows? Tomorrow, with your knowledge, if you are able to handle good number of research projects, good number of consultancy projects, and you are already dean or something in your institution, who knows? Tomorrow, definitely, nobody can stop you from becoming a vice chancellor of an institute or a director of an institute. It is, or you may become a director of a company also. The things are changing fast. So one thing every faculty needs to keep in mind is upgrade yourself. If you are able to keep in line with this process, definitely you are going to be the achiever. It is as simple as that, but very tough to tread. And definitely you can do it. Every confident person can do it. Please go beyond teaching. Go beyond the framework you have been operating. Try to get research projects. A lot of funding is available with the government. So many agencies are there. Try to explore. Try to, if you are unable to get on your own, have partnership with some industry, some university department, some IIT. Become a partner. Nobody is going to stop that. So try to do more research, more consultancy. Through that, you earn to your institute, through you earn to yourself, upgrade knowledge, and through this process, definitely every organization, I'm quite sure, recognizes the talent. Everybody wants talent. It is going to be a knowledge world. Whosoever is more knowledge is going to survive. So things are going to change very positively. This is my message to every faculty member. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Now the next question is, what is the new education policy and what its impact on us?
In a nutshell, I would say the National Education Policy 2020 announced by our government basically talks about whether it is higher education or technical education, giving equal opportunities to the student, number one, giving opportunity to the student to pursue any field of interest to her or him. Third one is especially making the technical education more creative oriented and innovative friendly. The NEP 2020 emphasizes on not seeking the job, but producing more job creators by the institutions. And then through various steps, activity, they did not give you have to do A, B, C, D to Z. No, they have given general policy. It is for the universities and the institutions to formulate an action plan to transform all those things into action and provide opportunities to the student so that at the end of the day, by the end of the day when the student is going to get the degree, student becomes self-confident to take up the challenges in the society, number one, to stand on his or her own feet, become an entrepreneur, or contribute effectively to whichever organization she or he may join. That is in a nutshell. You may say, are all these things not there earlier? I would say, definitely not. Because I have studied I did graduation in my graduation in 1980. Now I'm talking in 2020. After 40 years, I see a sea change in the syllabus we pursued to what is existing today, to what is going to be taught tomorrow. And it talks about bringing in more practicality to your teaching. Don't keep on giving too much stuff in the classroom so that a student gets totally confused. Instead of that, please expose the student to a particular problem, make him confident enough to solve the problem. Don't give the solution to him. Make the student work to solve the problem. It is something like that. I'm giving detailed explanation to these things. So all these things are there. Next one is bringing in laboratory to the classroom. This is one. Ultimately, a student should become self-confident, and the opportunities which were not there earlier to be provided, like mandatory internship, mandatory exposure of the students to the industry, mandatory exposure of the students to, I ask you one question. How many of the faculty members, how many of the children know about the importance of their own village, their own town, their own district? I see so thousands of students, so many students I see. If I ask something about their place, I am able to answer, tell them this is there in your district. But unfortunately, they do not know. They do not know. Smallest example I take. You have saris. You have hand woven sari. It was a big industry till 20 years back, I think. In last 20 years, totally changed. Of course, after Britishers came, lot changed. But in last 20 years, things have changed. Every one of us, we are wearing polyester, 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 polyester. If hand woven sari is there, made up of the what is a string prepared of cotton locally, that is done in Pitani or any other. It is Ikal sari or Pochampalli sari or Kanchi sari. You people know better, Aparanaji. It is. They have been struggling, and we have seen thousands of weavers in every state. They are in doldrums. Both the hands do not meet. There is huge gap between mouth to the hand. They don't have square meal a day. Many thousands of hand weavers. Why? We have produced lakhs of engineers. Every one of you will agree. Till date, lakhs of engineers we have. Millions of engineers India has produced in last 60 years. Millions, not lakhs, I am sorry. How many engineers have gone to a place like Pitani or a place like Kanchi or a place like your Pochampalli and helped the weavers to come out with some innovative method of changing their style of weaving so that they produce one saree in 10 days of time instead of 3 months of time. And you know the process of preparing धागा होता है ना, वो hand से ऐसे ऐसे करते हैं वो लोग. They'll be moving the wheel sort of thing by hand. Normally ladies do that. By the end of the day, this right shoulder is gone, and whole life they will be doing. So by the age of 35 to 40, they will have the experience of 60 year. They become 60-year-old at the age of 30, 35, 40. Why our engineers have not done anything to them? Is it not our duty? There is a mention in our national education policy that expose the student to the local artisans, local handicrafts. So many handicrafts are there. Toys are prepared much, much better than Chinese toys. India is flooded with Chinese toys. Every one of us we know. There are many places in every state known for toys. They don't have marketing. They don't have new techniques to improvise the process, which is something to do with engineering. National education policy at least it talks. Please expose the student to such. That is our culture. That is our heritage. Nothing to do with religion. This has got nothing to do with religion. It is culture heritage. It is practiced by our Hindus, our Muslim brothers, our Christians. Every place is having so many things. If you go to Muzaffarpur, everything is there. Brass work is there. Everything is done by our Muslim brethren. Why don't you help them to come out with new designs, new techniques to reduce their load on the shoulder or the fingers with some tools? Who has any engineer has done anything? There may be scattered. I don't say nothing. There may be very scattered. Not even 0.01% of the engineers coming out have contributed. This policy talks about that. Expose the students to the local heritage, local culture in your own district. By the side of your college, there may be something which is of great importance once upon a time. Revive it, help them out. So, ample opportunities it is going to create. I am very confident if we are able to implement the National Education Policy 2020 in toto, means in total, it is going to transform our society like anything. And truly, it's going to make India just not work for made in India, make for India, make for the world. Definitely. We have talent. Our youth is having talent. They need exposure. They need little push about creativity. They need something and somebody to tell them to think and solve the problem. That is what is given by NEP 2020.
Thank you, sir, elaborating that. And I must say thank you, Honorable Muske, sir, for asking this question. It was really nice to hear this answer, sir. Now, the next is, as you have mentioned, definitely the next question I already you have answered that how this new education policy will change the education perspective.
Yeah,
Some
I
part you
think
have
I have
already,
answered
yeah,
it.
you have already answered that question, but that was there from one of the participants, so I just mentioned it, sir. Okay. Now one more question is there. If you can elaborate on more on the Atmanirbhar Bharat sale, sir.
Madam,
Or else,
I would like to take. I just took a pause to remember Swami Vivekananda on this occasion.
Mhm.
Swami Vivekananda said, "Expansion is life, contraction is death." What is expansion in life? It is not physically putting up weight and then expanding laterally or linearly. It will stop at certain age of 2021 or so. Acquisition of knowledge, interacting with the people, networking. That is expanding the domain of your thinking laterally 360 degrees. It's not just laterally, 360 degree wise. So you acquisition of knowledge he talks about, and a person who stops thinking, who thinks that reading of books is waste, therefore acquisition of knowledge is waste. The person may be earning crores of rupees through different means, but he is equal to a dead body. That is what Swami Vivekananda said. Contraction is death. Contraction is intellectually contraction, not physically. So I believe in that very much. And when, if you take the really slogan given by Swami Vivekananda and practice it, I have so much knowledge in my field, automatically, if 10 more people from the same field are there, I become the leader from the group of these 11 people. Correct? Those who are having knowledge will be the future leaders. How a leader becomes, that is through acquisition of knowledge. So I take it like this, the student or a faculty who keeps on upgrading the knowledge and who makes themselves relevant to the society. I should not make it irrelevant. And to be relevant to the society, even at the age, whether it is at the age of 25, 30, or 40, or 60, or 70, we see many people still working at the age of 80. Means they are being invited by you people, every one of us, because they whatever they talk is still relevant, because they communicate, they get connected to the present day world or maybe future also. So that is going to happen through acquisition of knowledge. Basically, the knowledge I talk about. And those who are having more knowledge, they become more self-confident. They get Atmanirbharta much earlier, and they become Atmanirbhar citizens of the nation. Very simply, Atmanirbhar Bharat talks about Honorable Prime Minister. So many things are there. But I'm a simple professor occupying the position of vice chancellor. I would put it like this: a student who is equipped with knowledge and who makes himself or herself relevant to the industry, and who can establish herself or himself as an entrepreneur, which only can happen through acquisition of knowledge and finding out a relevant problem where they can sustain for next at least 10 to 15 years of time in the society, in the commerce field, in the marketing field. They become relevant. The root cause for becoming relevant, what is this self resilient or self reliant is knowledge. So Atmanirbhar Bharat talks about these things. First is knowledge. Use the knowledge for creativity, and through creation try to innovate some idea and then come out with a new solution for a problem. I don't expect 100% of the students to come out with innovative ideas. Not possible. Otherwise, every one of us would have become a Newton and got Nobel Prize. No, Nobel Prize comes to only after a dozen people every year. Doesn't mean all other professors are not good. No, not like that. Each student, each one of us, we have certain likes and dislikes. Within the domain of what I like, try to acquire as much knowledge as possible, and then self-knowledge comes through interaction also. Very, very important. You cannot be introvert in the present day world. You have to be a part of the society, mingle with the people. Every contact with anybody else is going to give you a certain amount of knowledge. So basically, Atmanirbhar Bharat talks cell of the university what we have established. It talks about creating innovators, give more push to that. But there are many other programs which are going to be unveiled shortly, providing opportunity to every student to learn and excel so that they become self-confident citizens of the nation. In a nutshell, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat Sal, Atmanirbhar Bharat India. I see that.
Relevant, sir, that you said.
Yeah.
Next question is how education is going to change. Also, what is the post-COVID-19 education? Let it be examination or online
Yeah,
education.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, this COVID situation has impacted our country terribly, and why not entire humanity? I think all the nations, entire world, it has impacted very badly, very badly. Our economy has gone down due to the reasons known to you. COVID, nothing was happening for last almost 5.5 months or so. And as I said earlier, things are not going to be same. Our life is going to change, and already we adopted, I think I must congratulate all my faculty of the entire university and our nation also, every institution, every organization. Within 1.5 months of time, it hardly took 1.5 months of time for every one of us to react to the situation and then come out with a new thing to carry on the works in every domain. Okay, some sectors still are yet to open, but as far as education is concerned, we have taken over the tide of COVID and then come out with a new thing of online, online, online. The vision of the government of India to make digital India, I think, is really going to happen in post-COVID situation. None of us are confident enough to go to a market and do purchases freely unless warranted. I think I am speaking fact of the day. Correct? What we are doing through online, I take my mobile and go to Swiggy or Amazon or Flipkart and try to get those things home only. And Swiggy started in some of the cities about food also. So things are going to change. As far as payments are concerned, I think it is going to give tremendous push to the digital payments. Teaching is going to be online teaching, and evaluation, I think, is going to be online evaluation in future also. That works out to be much better, more student friendly, and I would say more time friendly, therefore more economical as well. The conducting exam through online is, as far as the universities are concerned, and most of the places, lot of changes are going to take place regarding physical infrastructure. I think students must know this point very well. Things are going to change already. Uh, most of the software companies have offloaded their facilities, physical facilities, which requires, if you want to bring in 10,000 employees to your place, it requires a lot of transportation. You have to provide air conditioning, you have to provide snacks and all those things. Instead of that, they are getting the same work done in most of the cases, I'm telling, from home only. So they are saving crores of rupees and they find this arrangement is a better solution than calling the employees and making them sit in one place and work together. No, I think it is going to change the software industry tremendously. So therefore, the number of jobs are going to be lesser. Uh, definitely, because there is no scope for canteen, there is no scope for drivers, there is no scope for infrastructure, there is no scope for air conditioning, which is going to impact the engineers in a larger way. At the same time, it has this COVID situation has given us a very invaluable time of around 5 months to every one of us sitting at home. Think, rethink, and reinvent yourself to know what is the society. So we have come to know many things, and uh, there is going to be revival of the industry. Definitely, job opportunities are more. However, software industry is going to continue with online to a large extent. And as far as academic institutions are concerned, I think every one of us, every university is going to conduct exams online. And we at DWATU, irrespective of this COVID situation, we took a decision in December 2019 itself to make every student to learn one course mandatorily from this academic year of 2021 online and give one exam online mandatorily. So it is going to totally change. Online things are going to be more friendly to all the systems in the society. There will be impact on core industry jobs, but there will be opportunities. If you are an engineer related to core sector, there is requirement for you to upgrade your software skills and then make yourself more relevant to the society. There are whatever infrastructure that is done, it is going to be revived, industry is going to revive, but it's going to take time, maybe an year or so. So India is going to, it is a rebouncing. It's going to rebounce, and then in the present situation, there are lot number of goods which were coming from in China. We are proposing to produce those things with indigenous technologies. So tremendous opportunities for the engineers and the youth of the nation in general. And we have really a mandate. I don't say take over China, that's not possible, but at least try to minimize the import of the goods from China, which we can do in a much better manner with much better quality in India. So there are going to be lots of opportunities as well. But basically, it is going to there is going to be more impetus on digital India, which encompasses every field, including education also. No need to worry. No need to worry. Absolutely. Thank you.
VC sir is here. Many students, those who have joined here, they are asking what is 2021 batch students, how semester will be examination, sir? That is one of the questions.
Absolutely. No need to worry. I see this particular semester of odd semester of 2021 academic year, which has just recently started, to go like this only with online teaching learning processes. But I would appeal to all the principals and all the faculty also to have virtual labs, to adopt virtual labs for the benefit of the students. I think that is also happening. Some of the institutions have already tied up with some of their organizations. And as DBOT, we are going to sign MOU with IIT Bombay. And some of the institutions, if they like, I would like to provide NITK Surathkal, which has come out with virtual labs, even in the field of civil and mechanical engineering. Core branches also, they have developed very good virtual labs that will go on. So I see most of the syllabus coverage taking place online, and therefore, at the end of the day, we may take a decision. Decision is not yet taken because we have to respond to the situation and take a decision as far as this very important component of education is concerned, that is exams. But I don't rule out the opportunity of having online examinations conducted for this semester. Next semester, I don't know. Only God knows what is going to happen. We also cannot predict what is going to be the situation in the month of December or January. But we are planning to have examinations for this semester in the month of January. January 21, all the students are going to have examinations for the odd semester. Hopefully, situation will be congenial. I wish and I pray God. But otherwise, also, students need not worry. Exams will be conducted online, and DBOT is very much equipped to conduct examination online. And for the information of all the students, all the faculty, and all the parents, they are very much concerned about the safety. And so is the case with university and me personally also. I don't want to put any student to inconvenience and come out to give examination. Therefore, recently we took a decision to conduct examinations to the outgoing students. The present students who should have had examination in May, June, for them now we are conducting examination in the month of October online, wherein student can sit at home and give the exam either through a desktop or a laptop or a mobile device, something like this, with all security features, so that nobody in the society can point out a finger at DBOT. They have relaxed this, they have relaxed that. No, we are going to have a proctored examination wherein the student will be watched how she is giving exam or how he is giving exam for 1.5 hours or 2 hour duration, whatever it is. And the invigilation is going to be there online. We have devised already. So I appeal to all the students, don't have any fear. Do your duty of learning and assimilating knowledge, and try to utilize your free time to learn something about society, which is very important.
Right. That's definitely a big relief, and say that as we are hearing from VC itself, so everyone will come to know about that examination, all of that. Even I would like to inform you, sir, here, as we have already discussed, as you have mentioned, Nutan College of Engineering and Research, we are going to become a nodal center from NIT Surathkal for virtual labs, sir.
Yeah,
From
very good.
19 onwards, 19 September onwards. We are going to have a
Very good.
session
Very
on
good.
that day. And even from this platform, I would like to inform all the other affiliated colleges approach and they may join that session, which is arranged basically for the Nutan College of Engineering and Research faculty and the students.
I appeal.
Okay.
I will take a line from you. In fact, I have appealed also because I come from NIT Surathkal. I have come here as vice chancellor from NIT Surathkal. I had put up 29 years of service over there. Still, I am a permanent faculty over there. I am on
Yeah.
deputation here.
Yes, sir.
You know, because I talked to all the people there concerned, and then got clearance that we can align with NIT Surathkal also. As I said, the advantage is you have virtual labs developed in departments like civil engineering, which is not a common thing with others. So any college can have already, they have agreed officially, we got clearance also. Any college can approach NIT Surathkal from the bottom and have a MOU with them for virtual labs. No issue. And that is going to really put our students at a higher pedestal. Thank you, Aparnaji.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Now the last question, sir, before we conclude this
Yes,
session.
please.
What message you would like to give as many 12th pass students and parents are part of this session? What message you would like to give to them? Engineering aspirants, we may say.
Yeah. My appeal to all the budding youngsters and parents is don't worry about whatever is happening in the country at the moment for the time being. Please concentrate on getting admission to a good institution first. And my appeal to parents especially is concentrate on your child and how your child pursues education without bothering about his or her placement at fourth year. That's very, very important. See your child pursues education. That's more important. And then if you select a good college, good university, above all, with your commitment to pursue the education, I assure you, India is going to be a wonderful place to serve and live in with all the positive points, what you can imagine about US or Canada or UK or Australia. I think India is the best place wherein you can give everything what you have and earn and live in a more dignified way in the country. And first, please concentrate on education, pursuing your course, whichever course you are getting. As I said, Bharti is giving you ample opportunities. So take up any course. Don't worry about the branch. Whichever branch you get, put your heart into that and pursue. I tell my own case. Aparnaji introduced me as a mining engineer. Can you imagine? Can you think? I'm asking every student, would you like to become a mining engineer? And definitely 99.9% say no. Even I also said at that point of time no. But having got into mining, I decided I must excel. So try to have the commitment. Why I'm saying is I'm taking my example because mining, I didn't want at that point of time. I wanted to get into electronics, but due to the rank I got, getting a lower rank doesn't mean that you are inferior. Absolutely not. Having got an admission in some XYZ college doesn't mean that you are not up to the level of a student who got into IIT. At that point of time, at that moment, that student, the idea clicked to him or her, and then he could solve the problem. That's all. He didn't click to you at that point of time. Therefore, you are no inferior to anybody. Whatever course you take up, whichever institution you choose properly, try to give your 100% to pursue that branch of engineering or pharmacy or architecture or whatever it is. I am very sure you will become a successful person in the society. And appeal to parents is don't concentrate much on the placement packages at the first semester. Push your student, your child to study well first. Automatically, packages will follow. This is the thing, and I wish all the parents the very best, and my best wishes to each child in the state of Maharashtra. I wish them to see to become very active and dignified citizens of the state of Maharashtra and the nation. Thank you very much.
Before we conclude, I'm very happy to share you things, sir. As you have visited last time, that time, uh, is it sharing? Yeah. This is what, is it sharing?
No, it has not come. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we just, it was not possible due to this COVID situation, sir, that we can't make it say happen in person. But whatever that we had last year, those memories are still with us. Our Honorable Shri Krishan Rauji Begde has mentioned his message to you that he is very happy that on this Engineers Day you are advancing and you are still associated and your uh, time to Nutan College of Engineering and Research and all the affiliated institutes. Sir.
Thank you
He
very
just
much.
want to
And
convey with this, sir, as it is not possible in person. So with this virtual, we are just trying to convey his
this is
message, sir.
this is more enjoyable. You are showing me. You are actually bringing back the memories of my visit to the institution and my association with the eldest person over there, highly respectable gentleman. That itself is really great to me. I give a lot of value for this. Really, I didn't expect that. Such a nice gift today. It is a
Yeah,
very good memory. Thank you very much.
thank you,
My
sir.
regards to him.
Yeah, one more I would like to share a glimpse of the same day, just to revisit as if you have visited our college. मला शेअर मध्ये हे करता येतं का? As if we again say the way we honor in the same way we are visiting it, sir, revisiting it, I must say. I just want to go for the. This is what when you have visited NCR, sir.
Yeah.
So this all the dignitaries from my college, as well as we miss Dr. Devsarkar, sir, who is part of this meeting, and Honorable Maske sir, Desai sir, Wadhwa sir, and Charkha sir, and all other colleagues, those who were present at that meeting. So we are doing this. Saraswati Pujan, sir. We should start with that session, but at least I'm just sharing the glimpse of whatever that we had at the last time, sir.
Really good.
So Honorable Maske sir, Desai sir, and those students, those who were part of that session. So we really enjoyed that your visit, sir. We learned as always. And before we conclude the session, I would like to ask Professor Vishal Birazda to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of Nutan College of Engineering and Research, I, Vishal Birazar, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this interactive session on importance of technical university in engineering education, D-Part2 new policies and implements. I thank our today's speaker, Honorable Vice Chancellor, D-Part2, Dr. V. Rama Shastri. We are very enlightened with your knowledge and presence, sir. Thank you. I also thank all the dignitaries of D-Part2, Dr. H.S. Jadhav, Dr. S.B. Devsarkar, sir, Dr. Nalbalwar, sir, Dr. Brijesh Iyer, Dr. Kivlekar, sir, and many more. We are very thankful to all the principals of BPA2 affiliated colleges, Dr. Sanjay Khoth, Dr. Barbi Jain, Dr. Geeta Latkar, Dr. Ullas Shivarkar sir, Dr. Archana Rajpurkar madam, Dr. Banisha Joshi madam, and all the faculties and students of affiliated colleges. I also thank all the 12th pass out students and their parents for their presence for this session. I would like to thank our principal and our management for their enthusiastic support. A special thank to the organizing committee, Professor Aparna Pandey, teaching as well as non-teaching staff for their support and the coordination. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of this today's interactive session. So thank you everyone. Thank you very much.
Before we end, I
Thank you,
would like to have
Vinodha.
just one request, sir. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
ma'am. Yeah.
Can you
Please.
hear me, sir?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. As we have made this event in our conference it live, so